All right, everyone. Right now, it's time for a bit of a refresher. Well, not really a refresher. At this point, I'm just simply here to talk about practicing what I preach. And I do practice what I preach, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you should, particularly if you are in any specific contracts with spirits, entities, because if you violate those contracts, and if doing what I preach violates those contracts, which it usually shouldn't, then typically you can practice what I preach, or you can just figure stuff out on your own. And the same goes for me. Now, everything that I teach on this channel is something that I have practiced myself personally. So I have done the lesser ritual of the pentagram, I have done the lesser ritual of the hexagram, I have done the middle pillar, I have done evocation, and I have done a few other things. And as well, I have been in contracts. Now, as to whether I'm in any current contracts, and as to what those contracts entail, if any at all, I cannot talk about. There are certain things that I do not talk about on this channel or to anyone. There are certain things that are just meant to stay secret. Even within lodges, I don't talk about any of the groups that I go to, or any of the groups that I have been in or currently am in. Although I can say I've known a few people, and I've associated with a few people, but that's as far as I can go. As far as contracts go, once again, I can't talk about it. And as far as stuff that I do, I've pretty much done all of it. Now, as far as the Enochian system, yes, I have learned about the Enochian system, and I have seen some of the stuff. I am going to say that it is not something to be taken lightly. It is a system that requires a lot of dedication and a lot of practice. And once again, I'm not going to talk about my relationship with the Enochian system because of said reasons. It is not to be taken lightly, and it is something that I would never share with anyone. If I do decide to upload a video of the Enochian keys, mind you, you're only going to get parts of it. I do have memory of the first Enochian key and the 9th Enochian key. And yes, this is from the Enochian original John D, or as I should say, whatever's left of it. Because there's really not a whole lot left of John D's works. And as far as the Enochian tablets or the Enochian keys go, as far as I remember, with the Golden Dawn system, a lot of them were simply burned. So as the story goes, of course hearsay, as with Aleister Crowley's and the Golden Dawn's Neo-Enochiana, and the Watchtower rituals of the Wiccan tradition, I also cannot comment on that much. Now, as for contracts with spirits, particularly goetic spirits and jinns, with goetic spirits, you should avoid them at any cost. You really should not go to them unless if it's absolutely necessary. Yes, they can give you results. They can give you very drastic results, and they can give them to you very quickly. However, it does come at a price, a pretty hefty price, and you better keep up with their contracts. So if that means making offerings, whether daily, weekly, monthly, or whatnot, then you have to keep up with them. As far as just simply getting information or knowledge from other spirits such as jinn, that's a better approach to take. Typically, this doesn't involve any major contracts. It's usually just kind of doing your simple protections and essentially building up sort of your spiritual power. In other words, I'll let you go to Dot Darling, her channel, and she can kind of discuss more about it. Dave from Amateur Magus discusses about it too. Later, Xavier in small detail, although not much. There is one specific video where Frater Xavier does talk about using silk to cover up his implements. And that's as far as I remember. As for EA Co-Wedding and the folks from Becoming a Living God, also, I can't really mention much. I know there is something about doing rituals and developing power and channeling energy. Now, this is not invocation nor is this channeling. What I'm talking about is simply getting information from jinns. Kareen are a good one for that. Ghouls and Ifrit tend to be more malefic, although they kind of do things a bit differently. And, however, they can kind of give you access to information, but in a more indirect way. Whereas with Kareen and Nasus, along with, if I remember correctly, the Shayateen can give you some information, but mainly the Kareen, and also working with a jinn, by which name I'm not going to mention, but he is the jinn associated with Monday. And it's also another jinn associated with the Wednesday. So with those being said, they can help you give and get, mainly getting knowledge. That knowledge usually comes in the form of sort of a sudden idea, or you're just kind of, sitting there and you're able to connect two and two. Or you might be walking somewhere, you see maybe a sign, you overhear a conversation, you hear a song at the grocery store, and you're suddenly reminded of something. Or an idea just pops into your head. Or you have a really intense dream. Albeit, with remembering dreams, you gotta do the journaling. However, I think that'll be about it for now. And as always, I'm going to have to maintain my 4 powers of the Magus. We'll see you soon.